Hey, what's up, guys? Got another video here for you. This is actually not really a video, it's more of a podcast. We're going to be doing podcast number 2 for Tuned In Sports. My name is Bryson, and today I'm going to be talking about the Alabama game at Ole Miss, podcast number 2 today. The first podcast was released on Friday, and that was a preview, so I figured it's only fitting that we do the game review in the podcast format as well. So here we go. So first of all, just as a fan of football, 63-48, Alabama ended up winning, but let me just say, even though it ended up being looks like a 15-point deficit, it was far from 15 points the entire game. It was back and forth and back and forth. Both offenses were just insane, just going crazy. It was one of the most fun college football games I have watched in a long time. As just a pure football fan, man, was this a great game. I had so much fun watching this game. Now, from a fan standpoint, it wasn't as much fun because, my defense, or my team's defense, was giving up as many points as the opponent. So when you're a program that's known for defense like Alabama, and you have a performance like that, it kind of makes you go, that's interesting. But with that being said, I honestly, just like I said, from a fan standpoint, I honestly just had such a great time watching this game from just being a fan of football. If you're really into offense and just crazy pass plays and stuff, then this was for you. And just crazy offensive sets and stuff, man, this was the game, and I really, really enjoyed myself. And it was just back and forth. Like I said, it was a 15-point difference, but it was not that for most of the game. Now, as a fan of Alabama, I would have to say that this game was actually pretty concerning. I said in the preview podcast that I thought that Ole Miss had a really good offense. They'd put up either 40 points or close to in each of their games, even in the loss. And so their offense had not been the problem. And with Lane Kiffin there, I said that, they were going to put up some points. But boy, I had no idea that it was going to be this many. I'm just glad that our offense showed up, because otherwise, defensively, we weren't stopping nobody. We had 2 stops on defense that were important, which was still not really stops because all we did was hold them to field goals. But, if you're getting down to it, is that really stopping them? No, that's just keeping them out of the end zone. So with that being said, yeah, defense was really non-existent. They had total of 647 yards, 379 yards passing. I mean, it was just crazy. Rushing, they had 258 yards, 68, excuse me. Just absolutely insane. Just about everything they did worked. They averaged 13.1 yards per pass, and they attempted the rush 57 times for 4.7 yards per rush. And man, they really did well as they controlled time of possession by about a couple minutes. So, they really played well. But what I will say, though, is that part of the reason they controlled time of possession was because there was a number of times when our drives would be over within a couple of plays. I seem to remember at one point we got the ball. I think it was because they tried that fake onside kick or that pooch kick or whatever to try to get the onside where the punter or the kicker would catch it. And when they did that, we got the ball at like midfield, and I think it was like maybe three, maybe even two, maybe three, maybe four plays later that we were in the end zone. So I do think that, time of possession was a little misleading. It was relatively close, but I'm just saying like 2.5 minutes was basically what they had over us, and I think a lot of that was just due to field position oftentimes. I don't think that their kick returner ran the ball on kick returns once. I think he fair caught it every time, which means they started at the 25, and we started at a variety of different places depending on the drive. So with that being said, yeah, defense, here's really my concern is not necessarily that we gave up 48 points and 647 yards. I mean, that's a huge deal, but we still won the game. But my concern is that when we get into going against teams like Georgia next week, for instance, their defense is going to be a hell of a lot better than Ole Miss. And if our defense can't stop anybody, we're going to have a long day, because I guarantee you we're not putting up 63 against Georgia. I don't think there's any way that happens. I don't think that Georgia I don't think Georgia is going to give up more than 40, to be completely honest. So if our defense performs like they did this Saturday, and we go against Georgia, who's got good offense and a much better defense, I think we're really gonna just straight up lose. The fact of the matter is that I saw today that it's coming out that we are, I think, 7.5 point favorites is the odds right now. Is what I thought I saw. I could be mistaken, but I believe we are favored. And honestly, if I was a betting man, I would be on the Georgia side of this game, because I really think that we could easily lose next week. And that's just strictly based on what I saw from the defense in this game. Ole Miss, they've got a good offense, but, player for player, they're not as stacked as we are. And the fact that they were able to move the ball like it was nothing, the only time we stopped them, and I say stopped in quotation marks, is when we held them to 2 field goals. But even that wasn't, I think we forced them to punt or turn over once, I think. I don't think it was a turnover. I think we forced them to punt one time the whole game. The rest of the time, they either scored a touchdown or kicked a field goal. So, yeah, it was no defense being played on our end at all. And like I said, when we go against a team like Georgia or something, man, that's not going to stand. That is not going to work against a more quality opponent. Ole Miss, moving forward, I think their future is very bright. They played the hell out of us. And I think anybody that plays them better watch out this year, especially whoever they play in their bowl game. Boy, that could end up being a pretty lopsided one if the opponent's not careful. So, anyways, Ole Miss, congrats to them on a great game. With that being said, though, obviously we put up 63 points. Mac Jones, he played excellent. 28 of 32, 417 yards, 2 touchdowns. Couldn't have played much better. He really, honestly, I don't know if he could have played better. He was just on the money all night long. Every throw that he made was the correct throw, and it was just beautifully thrown for the most part. It was just great to watch. When Tua left, everybody was thinking, oh, great, here we go back to the offense that can't keep up with teams. But boy, Mac Jones, he's proven a lot of people wrong, and he's showing that, hey man, I can do it too. I was thoroughly impressed with Mac Jones yesterday, and I couldn't have been more happy with how he played. Najee Harris as well, he had 23 carries, 206 yards, 5 touchdowns. He played like a monster yesterday. And even the backup running back, number 4, I think his name is Brian Robinson, I believe. He played excellent as well. He really came in on some drives or some plays when Najee went out, and he got some good effective yardage many times when Najee was on the bench. So he really carried his end too. Just overall, the rushing attack, 306 yards. We ran the ball really well, and we attempted the rush 18 times less than Ole Miss, and we got quite a few more yards than they did. I think 62. So we really ran the ball well. I feel like their offense and our offense controlled the line of scrimmage over both defensive lines. But I feel like on the whole, our offensive line was able to open up more holes in the running game. But there was a lot of plays that should have been not that big of a play, where Najee Harris and or Robinson just were breaking tackles on people and just shrugging them off. Najee Harris on the one touchdown run especially, I think he broke like 2 or 3 tackles, and then he was getting tackled as he dove into the end zone. It was just impressive to watch. This is the Najee Harris that we've been hoping to see, and thus far this season, he wasn't having this kind of a performance, but he definitely showed up today on this day. So, big props to him for having a great game. And, it was just overall really well done. Like I said, defensively, we really need to pick it up. It really wasn't pretty on defense, as well as the fact that we had 8 penalties for 76 yards, and some would say we should have had more than that. There was a couple of kind of iffy calls here and there, but that was the same on the other side too. So if it comes, I've always believed that if you're at the point where you're blaming the refs, you're not being honest, because there's a lot of penalties that could be called on just about every single play. And the best way to win games is to take the refs out of it by just being the better team on the field. And I believe we accomplished that today on this day. So, great performance by Alabama offensively. Defensively, we definitely need to pick it up. Like I said, Georgia's going to be a whole different animal. Their defense, they have shut teams down since the get-go, basically. They kicked the crap out of Auburn, and they did basically the same thing to Tennessee in the second half. It was pretty close, I think, going into halftime, but I don't know. I think Tennessee didn't even score again after halftime. They may have, but it wasn't much if they did, and Georgia just blew them out of the water. So they're really going to be a tough opponent. We do get to play them at home, which is good, but like I said, defensively, man, if we play like this, I don't think it matters where we play them. I think there's a good chance we lose. Now, don't get me wrong. After the performance we had on offense today, I'm not saying that we can't score with them. But what I'm saying is this idea that every single drive that we have, we're going straight down the field, probably not. Even in this game, I don't think that they stopped us a single time. One time they stopped us on the goal line and Najee Harris fumbled the football. But had he not fumbled, that was a touchdown, I don't think they stopped us a single time during the game. And, with that being said too, even though he fumbled, it was on the 1 yard line. So we moved the ball down the field the whole way, and got to the goal line and then gave it up. So it's not like we didn't move the ball on that possession. We moved it all the way down the field. So I don't think they stopped us on a single possession that I remember. But anyways, with that being said, Georgia, it's going to be a different animal. We're not going to be able to just, every single drive, everything works and stuff. They got a lot of playmakers on defense and stuff, and I really think that we're going to have a difficult game if we play the way that we played, and we really need to pick it up. So, as happy as I am that we won, it was a good win on the road against a quality opponent in Ole Miss. They're definitely solid, but I would have liked to see us play a little bit better. But hey, a win is a win, and we definitely have a lot to work on moving into the Georgia game. But I'll save that for when for the game preview. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Guys, this has been podcast number 2, the Alabama game review. Like I said before, Alabama ended up coming out victorious on the Ole Miss Rebels, 63-48. Great game. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch the highlights, or if you have a chance to just watch the game in its totality for yourself, do it. Or if you watched it and just want to watch it again, I highly recommend it because it was an excellent game. So much fun to watch. And even though, like I said, the defense definitely kind of let me down, as just a fan of football, offense was just all over the place, and I love to see it. So it was really fun to watch. Really happy that my team came out with the win, especially because for pretty much the entire first half, we were coming from behind. And so that was, really good to see us have some resiliency and be able to come back and, eventually end up winning the game. So, guys, with that being said, though, this has been podcast number 2, and my name is Bryson, and we'll see you guys in the next video.